Hey everyone, Gabe here.
And David. There's a question we hear all the time, and we want to talk about it today.
That's right. That question is, how can I improve my English grammar?
Grammar is important no matter what language you're learning. But with English grammar, it can get tricky. There are so many exceptions to all the grammar rules.
You're right about that, David. For example, you're not supposed to end a sentence with a preposition. But sometimes it's more awkward to rearrange the sentence so that it's not ending with a preposition. Like this sentence, I wonder what we can come up with.
Yeah, if you didn't end it with a preposition, that would be, I wonder up with what we can come. That's really strange. So it's okay to break that rule. So what tip did we come up with?
Well, the first tip we are talking about today to help you improve your grammar is memorizing sentence patterns.
Memorizing? It's not hard, but it takes so much time.
That's true, and it takes discipline to review what you memorized yesterday and the day before so that you never forget it. Now, the trick with memorizing sentence patterns is knowing when and how to switch words out with other ones.
Right. For example, the sentence pattern, to adjective to verb. There's so many ways to use that sentence pattern. Well, you can memorize too cold to swim to start. Then you could practice switching the words out.
That's good. So switch cold out with another adjective and swim out with another verb.
Like, I'm too shy to speak. It's too loud to study here. I'm too excited to sleep. The possibilities are endless.
They really are. You can use this tip with all kinds of sentence patterns. Pick one a week, practice it for a few days, and see how fast your grammar improves.
And speaking of improving your grammar, we have to talk about Google Translate.
What about Google Translate?
Well, it can be such a useful tool if you use it correctly. Unfortunately, if you're using it incorrectly or using it too much, it can cause your English grammar to have problems.
That's so true. Here's what happens. When Google translates a sentence from a language like Chinese to a language like English, it's also translating the grammar, but Chinese grammar is different than English grammar.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Google Translate has made many improvements over the years, and that's true, but it still makes mistakes.
Yes. Now, the type of text, of course, will make a difference. For example, Google Translate will make fewer mistakes with literary text and more mistakes with colloquial phrases. Oh, David, do you know what rain check is?
Oh, yeah, that's what we say when we can't accept an invitation to do something now, but would like to at a later time. Like, would you like to go to the movie theater with me? Oh, I can't today. May I take a rain check? Yeah.
Good.
Like this?
Good job.
Nice.
Good example.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So how does Google Translate do it?
Okay, well, at the time of this recording, it's translated 雨水检查.
Oh, no.
Rain and then inspection.
Rain inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how about this one? Your joke went over my head. If something goes over your head, that means you don't understand it.
Right. Okay, so how did Google translate it? 你的笑话在我头上.
Yeah, kind of. 你的笑话在脑海浮现.
Your joke appeared in my brain.
Yeah. Now, like you said, Google Translate is getting better. And if Google sees this episode of How to Improve Your Grammar, then the phrases rain check and something went over my head might be translated correctly very soon. But the point is, it's not completely reliable.
Not only that, but sometimes context is needed to make a sentence understandable in English. However, there's a general rule for using Google Translate. Less info is better.
Yeah, using apps and dictionaries to look up one word can be okay. You're less likely to get a bad translation if you put in less information.
It's definitely much better to read non-translated materials or listen to native speakers in English to improve your grammar. Of course, that could include movies or TV shows.
Or awesome English teaching programs.
Hey.
So remember, use Google Translate sparingly
and properly.
So, do you rely on translation apps too much? Make sure they aren't affecting your grammar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready for our next tip? Listening to native speakers.
That's right. Now, we know that not everyone knows any native speakers personally, right? And even if you do, those native English speakers might not want to just talk to you a lot so that your English listening improves.
Yeah, if they're your friend, they probably just prefer having casual conversations in English and your native language. And practicing listening to long-form speeches in person might just not be an option for you.
And so that's why we're recommending that you listen to native speakers through podcasts, TV shows, and things like TED Talks.
That's right. By watching and listening to shows in your target language, you'll not only level up your listening and communication skills, but your brain will automatically start to hear grammar patterns and correct usage of hard-to-use phrases.
But you might be thinking, is it really possible to improve your English grammar this way? After all, not every native speaker even uses correct grammar.
That's a good point.
I know.
And I think we need to say here that having perfect grammar doesn't have to be your goal. If you want to be able to communicate in English, then listening to a native speaker speak English is a great way to learn.
Hey, you know, my friends Phoebe, Chandler, and Joey learned English by watching a sitcom together. Their English sounds very natural now, and they're pretty funny too.
Did they choose their English names before or after watching the sitcom?
Oh, I think it was after watching the sitcom.
Was the sitcom Friends by any chance?
Yeah, how did you know?
Lucky guess. Anyway, friends, do you think listening to a podcast, TV show, or TED Talk could help your grammar? Give it a try.
Okay, well, friends, last but not least, we're going to talk about a crutch that many English learners use when trying to improve their language skills, but really ruins their grammar.
A crutch is something that a person depends on to help deal with something difficult. The problem is that once you start relying on a crutch, it gets really hard to eventually stop using it.
So the crutch we're learning about today is subtitles. When you watch a movie or TV in English, do you put the subtitles on in Chinese?
Reading subtitles in one language while you're listening in another can be helpful in some cases, especially as you're first starting out. However, as time goes on, they won't continue to help you.
And here's why. When you read in one language and listen in another, you are forcing your brain to do translation work. Your brain will automatically focus on the language you're most familiar with.
As this happens, your brain will begin translating from one language to another. Languages have different grammar, so this is going to keep your English grammar from improving.
To learn English well, you must think in English. It's impossible to think in English if you keep letting your brain rely on the crutch of subtitles.
Do you rely on Chinese subtitles when you're watching something in English? It's time to break that habit.
Well, are you trying to improve your English grammar, friends? Which one of the tips you heard today could help you?
Let us know in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to this channel, 空中英语杂志 official channel, for more tips on how to improve your English.
And we'll see you next time.
That's right.